Alright, hello fun and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the Imperial Guard Armor mod, which is being released by user Kottabos. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is, well, exactly what it says in the name, and that is some Imperial Guard Armor from Warhammer 40k. And I'm pretty happy with this mod. I think it's pretty fun. We haven't looked at an armor mod in a while, and so when I saw this pop up on the Nexus, I figured, what the heck, let's have a gander, as despite not being the biggest fan of Warhammer 40k, I have always very much loved the look of the Imperial Guard. They're my favorite faction in that franchise, and to be honest with you, it also kind of reminds me of the old school combat armor from earlier Fallout games, so I think it actually does fit in with the aesthetic of the world. And so what we do get here is just a single suit of armor that does have male and female body type compatibility, and then two different helmets with either a mask or no mask. And depending on how you go, you'll, well, look the part of a Cadian Imperial Guardsman or woman. Good times. Let's have a look at what all exactly we're getting stat-wise, starting with the Imperial Guard Armor itself, the main body outfit, which will provide you with 14 physical damage resistance, 20 energy damage resistance, as well as 15 radiation resistance for a decently hefty weight of 7, but not too bad there. Now we then have the Open Helm, or the Imperial Guard Open Helm, which will have 10 physical damage resistance for a weight of 3. So not a whole lot of stats to go over there, mainly because your face is exposed. Now when you have the Closed Helm, on the other hand, you're actually getting quite a bit more protection. You still got the same 10 physical damage resistance, but you're now also getting 20 energy resist as well as 20 radiation resist for just that weight of 1 there, which is interesting that it's lighter than the Open Helm. Not sure how that pans out, but Imperial technology, I guess? But yes, they're all pretty decently protective. Not the most protective things ever, but still decent enough, especially considering how easy they are to get. You can pretty much get a hold of these from the beginning of the game, and it's not half bad armor for that point. Now, as for how you do get your hands on things, well, the one and only way to do it at the moment, more on that in a second, is to go over to any chemistry station in the world where you'll find this Imperial Guard Wares category, where you can build them all for nothing. I do wish there was some sort of requirement in here, but sadly there is not, so it does feel a little bit cheaty. In that case, you can also just use the console commands to spawn them in, but for at least a semi-non-cheaty way, you do have the chemistry station here. Now, eventually, the mod maker actually wants to have these in the world, but in a kind of different way. They're apparently working on a conversion of the Fallout 4 world to Warhammer 40k. What all that means, I don't know. It kind of sounds like they're just going to replace all the stuff in the world with 40k themed things, rather than it being like a whole new game like Fallout London. But still, so you might be able to find these in the world eventually when that's done. But for now, it is, of course, the chemistry station. And one disappointing thing for the mod at the moment, hopefully this does change in the future, especially if they are doing that conversion. It really feels like there should be some modifications for these things, but sadly there is not. We can't add any ballistic weave or anything like that to our Imperial Guard armor. So what you see is what you get, and frankly, it looks good. I very much do like these things. They've got a lot of good details on them. I do love the Cadian-inspired design because, well, that not only is my favorite of all the Imperial factions, but is also kind of the one that most people seem to know. So it's easy to get your head around. And I do like that we do have some fun details on these things. We've got a lot more detailing on the female model rather than the male model. I mean, the male model is pretty much just the armor and then, you know, some basic fatigues down there with some shin guards. Whereas the female model, they've got the armor, the fatigues, they've got shin guards that actually go all the way up to the knee, and then a belt with a number of different other items, including some grenades in the back. So yeah, a lot more detail on the female version of the armor, well, the female body type rather. It's the same armor, just, you know, depending on who's wearing it. Which is pretty cool, especially considering I do mainly roll around in a female model here. I like having all that additional detail. It's a little disappointing that they don't have as much detail on the male stuff. I think it would actually be pretty cool to maybe have like them have a backpack or something instead. You know, you got a utility belt on them, backpack on them might be pretty nifty. But who knows? Who knows how it may or may not change in the future. For the time being, though, it's just a neat little mod. Perhaps not the most useful thing in the world unless you're wanting to create your own Imperial Guard faction here in your settlements, but is just, you know, a nice little piece of Warhammer that, again, I think surprisingly works with the Fallout aesthetic and world design. So, yeah, it's just a fun, nifty little mod. And not really much to talk about besides everything we've already gone over. So, yeah, I think that's where we're going to leave it there. So if you'd like to check out this mod for yourself, which I'd certainly recommend you go do to see for yourself how this does work in your own games, you can have a look at the link in the description as per usual. But that, my friends, is going to be it for this one today. Hopefully you all have enjoyed, and you do come back for whatever mod it is that we look at next. But until then, thank you for watching. And as always, we'll have a good one.